Hey guys, welcome once again to the Coffee and Heroes show. Slightly later than usual, but it's kind of been a week from hell, to be completely honest with you. We'll get into that in a second. So I hope you guys are all keeping well out there. The store, obviously for the last week, has been in click and collect mode. So people have been really good at supporting the place and coming down to collect pull lists, coming down to collect things they've had held over, picking up vouchers, all that support for the store is massively appreciated. We really can't emphasize that enough. So thank you to each and every person who walked through the door in the last week. But yeah, anybody who's been, either in the store or keeps up with the social media stuff, they'll know that the last week has been very, very trying. I'm always very upfront and honest about how Diamond goes about their business, simply because I want people to know behind the scenes stuff. I want them to know that if there's mistakes made, if we make mistakes ourselves, I'll always own up to them. But there are times that things are just not in our control. And this week was one of them. So 7 boxes arrived on Tuesday. So normal Tuesday, always get your titles on a Tuesday, released on the Wednesday, gives you time to organize them and so forth. So 7 boxes arrived, and I should have been worried when the delivery driver said, "This seems a little light for you." I was still trying to stay optimistic. Maybe it's just been packed tightly and, it was just one of those weeks. But I started going through the boxes. So 2 of the boxes straight away were Keen and Black storage boxes. So you're down to 5 boxes. Then the next box I had pulled out was a Nightwing omnibus. The entire box was taken up by 1 omnibus. Then another box was just 4 graphic novels. So suddenly you're down to 3 boxes and you're thinking, I have 800 single issues due this week, plus other trades and things. So we looked through it all, we broke it all down, and it turned out that we had absolutely zero issues sent to us. And I mean 0 single issues. We had a ton of trades, some really good stuff as well. But obviously, single issues is our bread and butter. Pull lists are our bread and butter. We need those to arrive timely fashion every week, routine, as much as possible. So I tell Diamond about all this. I tell him this at maybe 11:30 on the Tuesday, told him nice and early, so plenty of time to get it sorted. With, of course, the proviso being that they'll probably arrive Wednesday. So 5 hours later, still no word from them, still nothing heard back. And then I get an email from them the next morning saying, "Oh, we can't find these other boxes that were supposed to come out to you. We're going to have to repick them and send them to you." So already at this point, I'm starting to worry because all the hype about Daredevil 25 is kicked up. Keen and Black was due out, Batcat was due out, and I'm thinking, I'm not going to get all my issues here, just wait and see. So that annoyed me because they only started picking it on the Wednesday, which meant now our delivery that should have been here on a Tuesday was coming on a Thursday. So it comes on a Thursday, and we start going through it. Of course, 0 Daredevil issues, 0 Walking Dead issues, Marvel Tales Null issues missing, all sorts of stuff. Now, normally I conduct my business with Diamond through email, and it had just reached the point where it needed a phone call, and I like to think I was pretty calm and collected, but I got my point across. And in fairness to them, their customer service reps were in good form. They told me to send the list through, and they phoned me back an hour later and said, "Right, we've got your Daredevil issues in my hand. I've got your Walking Dead issues in my hand right now, so I'm going to post these tonight, and they should be with you tomorrow." That's Thursday. Wait all day Friday, nothing arrives. Wait all day Saturday, nothing arrives. And then one of the reasons I held back recording this week as well was because I wanted to wait for these issues to come in, which they finally did today on the Monday. So pull lists are now completely up to date for last week's title. So your Walking Dead stuff's there, Daredevil's there. Once again, emphasis on if you have Daredevil on a pull list with us, with Coffee and Heroes, it is cover price. Not £25, not £30, not whatever scalpers are ripping the, I don't even want to swear. But yeah, with us, it's always cover price on release day. Now, we don't always have spare copies of things, especially at the moment. We need to keep our orders tight because we don't really have people in the store browsing at the moment. So please, if there's something you're after, let us know as soon as possible so we can guarantee it for you. If those issues of Daredevil hadn't have arrived, for example, there was no way I was going to be able to source those first prints. Absolutely none. You were talking £30 an issue. And that was all Diamond's fault. But we got them in the end. Pull lists are up to date, as I say, and we're available for click and collect until this Thursday, which is the 11th. So after this Thursday, in line with sort of government mandates and so forth, will be reopening on the Friday, fully to the public. We are still going to keep certain measures in place. We want a maximum of 5 people in store at any one time, and that includes people sitting down. No more than 2 people to a table. We don't want people dragging chairs over in crowds of 4 and 5 sitting around tables to sit in. We love that atmosphere element to the store, but we need to be responsible about this. We need to reopen in a way where it's safe, people feel comfortable coming to the store and don't feel worried. If it is a case that you're still worried about coming to the store, we'll still offer a delivery service. Either myself and Vicky will jump in the car and deliver to people's houses, or we can send stuff through the post. That is a service that will continue to be available during these times. But we're looking forward to getting back to a bit of normality. You know, our store isn't really, I don't like it being a place that people just come, pick stuff up, hi, how you doing, and then leave. We want that community aspect. We want the conversational aspect. We want to, get people's minds off the outside world for a few minutes even, rather than a few hours. So we're looking forward to getting back to that, I have to say. But please do keep those measures those in mind, because we'll put up signs and so forth and remind people and all the rest. But we want everyone who comes to the store to feel safe doing so and not be so worried. So yeah, and we're going to be open Sundays, actually, I should say, as well. So for the next couple of Sundays, we'll be open from 1 to 5 as well. So that'll give you an extra option to get to the store. But this week, so all of that drama couldn't have happened on a worse week, to be honest, because the simple reason was that this was one of the biggest release weeks in comics this year. We had Marvel's event that they've been teasing for the last 6 months kicking off. We had a 12-issue maxi series kicking off that we've been waiting on for a long time. Just so many strong issues, not just in the big 2, but loads of strong indie stuff as well. So it couldn't have happened in a worse week, to be honest with you, but we got there in the end. So my titles for this week, I could have picked 10 that stood out, honorable mentions go out this week to Thor number 10, which was exceptional. Justice League Endless Winter kicked off this week. There was a lot of strong stuff this week. But for me, these were the 3 standouts. So, was all the hype worth it? You betcha. So Daredevil 25, thoroughly brilliant issue, continuing Chip Zdarsky's amazing run on the series. Brilliant cover, first of all. But yeah, we're continuing down the road of Daredevil, where Matt is essentially, he knows he needs to serve his time for essentially the crime he committed. It was accidental, it was in the line of trying to protect people, but it's all about superheroes being held accountable for their actions, and this was exceptional. Some great stuff in here with Elektra as well, and a lot of soul searching between the 2 characters. And then there was that big splash page that I'll not ruin on here because I'm not that kind of person. But it was brilliant. I can see why the speculators went nuts. It's a byproduct of the industry, as always. But yeah, thought it was really, really strong. Also really, really strong was Keenan Black number 1. So Marvel's event hit. Double-sized issue, $6 issue, so $5.50 with us. This was great. And the biggest compliment I can give it is, obviously, I've been reading the Venom run, I've been reading all of Donny Cates' other stuff. Vicky came to this fresh, and as long as you know the basic details, Null, God of the Symbiotes, coming to conquer Earth, Venom is standing in his way, Venom's joined the Avengers, you can jump straight into this. This was big, fast-paced action, horror. There was demonstrations of how powerful Null is the whole way through this. It wasn't one of those, we're going to slow build up to, the big villain reveal. They really threw a lot of stuff at the wall in this issue, and so much of it stuck. I thought it was really, really strong. Massive, massive shout out to Rand Stegman's art. It was a beautiful looking issue. I mean, you got that big double splash page of Venom within like 2 pages of opening up. So it's going to be 5 issues in total. There are an absolute shed load of tie-in series. But I'm just going to pick and choose which ones I want to read, and we'll see. But follow creative teams or characters, as we always say. But the 5-issue miniseries in itself, I think, is going to tell a really great story. And in a move that will surprise absolutely no one, my issue of the week was a Batman Catwoman number 1. So Batcat, as it is affectionately known. Been looking forward to this for a long time. Obviously, we had Clay in the store last year. He talked then about the scripts being something really special. He talked about wanting to make sure that he did all the art for it, and if DC could delay it slightly. It makes sense for this to come out in December. It actually kicks off with a hymn being sung, a Christmas hymn being sung. For me, it takes place over 3 different time periods, and this is a great narrative device. You know, things like True Detective use this well. And what you've got here is essentially 3 narratives, and Catwoman's arguably the main character of this story, even more so than Batman. So you've got Catwoman in the past, when she's fully indulging in her criminal wares, back before she's with Bruce. Then you've got a story in the present, which is Bruce and Selina teaming up to try and find the missing son of Andrea Beaumont, which, for those who know the animated series well, is Phantasm. And then you've got a story in the future, which is an older Selina Kyle, or Selina Wayne, I should say at this point, just sort of tidying up affairs. Bruce has died, Batman is no more, and she's just sort of tidying up affairs. The artwork is beyond exceptional, and it's one of the most beautiful looking books this year. You can see the love on every page. It is very much a standalone story, but at the same time, it ties a lot to Tom King's run, of course. So at the very least, I'd really recommend reading the Batman Annual number 2 and then this, because Batman Annual 2 deals with like an older Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle being together. So brilliant issue, set up just the right amount of stuff to hook you and pull you in. The last 4 pages of this just gave me goosebumps. One of them was related to the story in the future, one of them was related to the story in the present, and lived up to every expectation I wanted it to. Batcat, get on it if you're not already. We've ordered big on it. We've got a few more copies of Cover A left in store. We've got a couple of copies of Jim Lee's variant cover in store as well. But I cannot recommend this enough. This was brilliant, mature adult storytelling, and just a beautiful looking issue as well. So that was this week. Or given that I'm recording on a Monday, that was last week. So as always, I'll go through the invoice for this week. So again, this is all the stuff that's coming to us, hopefully, this week, and it'll be going on pull lists, and we do have a small amount for the racks as well. So if anything catches your eye, get in touch, let us know, and we'll do our best to make sure you're sorted. So kick things off actually with a hardcover I'm really looking forward to, which is Adventure Man. Great series by Matt Fraction and the Dodsons. Really pulpy, really steampunky. That's going to be the first volume of that, so that's going to be cracking, I would say. You've got Amazing Spider-Man 54.LR, and also got some variants coming for that as well. And also the next trade paperback of Nick Spencer stuff coming as well, which is volume 10. Got American Vampire 1976 number 3 coming. We have Batman Black and White coming. So this one slipped slightly under the radar. Orders in this aren't exactly big, which is always surprising when Batman's involved, to be honest. But we do have a few extra copies coming, a couple of the variants coming as well. And this is going to be an anthology series. I'm really looking forward to this. But yeah, it just seems to have flown under the radar a little bit. What else have we got here? We've got Conan the Barbarian number 17. Biggest indie title of the week probably goes to Crossover number 2, which is Donny Cates and Jeff Shaw's brilliant title. First issue of that was pardon me, absolutely superb. You've got Dark Knight's Death Metal, Last Stories of the DCU. So this is another Death Metal tie-in. This one seems to be, you know, if the DC Universe was about to end at the hands of, you know, The Darkest Night and Perpetua, you know, what are the last stories of these characters before that happened? A really class array of talent on that one, actually. So one to look forward to. You've got Flash 767. Now, this is actually part of the Endless Winter event, so that's coming next week. We've got Homesick Pilots number 1. This is a brand new series coming from Image. Looks very, very promising. Your Keenan Black tie-in for next week is Keenan Black Namor number 1. We've got Mighty Morphin number 2 coming. That's really kicked off to a really popular start, the Mighty Morphin stuff. Plenty of people on that. One of the ones I'm looking forward to most is a title called Mountainhead. It's part 5. It's a story by John Lees, who's the writer of Sync. And it's really suffered this year from the release scheduling and, you know, the delays and everything else. But that's the last part of that, and we're really looking forward to that, I have to say. You got Rise of Ultraman number 4. Probably joint, actually, biggest indie title this week. As big as Crossover is, Seven Secrets is also big. So you've got issue 5 of that coming this week. Scarentude number 2, that was one I really enjoyed. That was one of my picks of the week when we did the podcast last week. What else have we got? We've got Sweet Tooth the Return number 2 coming. We have Sword number 1 coming. That is a new X title. The next Tales from the Dark Multiverse is coming next week, which is Flashpoint. I think that'll prove popular. We've also got Venom 31, so again another Keenan Black tie-in to look forward to. And then just finish off there, we've got Warhammer 40k number 3, Marnus Calgar. First 2 issues that were great. And then we've also got Year Zero Volume 2 number 2. That's a title I really, really love. And I think we're still number 1s in stores. So if you're looking at a good indie title, that is definitely up there. So yeah, some really, really good stuff coming next week. Assuming it all arrives, of course. I just mentioned the podcast there actually as well. So we welcomed Paddy to the podcast last week. So Roddy's just taking a little bit of a break from it at the moment. Hopefully be back with us soon. But Paddy stepped in, did a really, really good job. We covered the last 5 weeks on last week's podcast. It is a big 3-hour behemoth, but we always include the timestamps so you can flick to things that interest you or titles you want to have reviewed. Obviously, they're always very spoiler heavy, so if you haven't read something, best to skip past. But last week, Keith and I, we interviewed a few different creators. We've got a couple more creator interviews this week as well. So there's going to be some really good content coming up on the podcast in the next couple of weeks. So do keep an eye on it if you don't follow the podcast already. It's great getting these creators on. I think they're just as bored at home as a lot of the rest of us are. I think that they're happy to talk about their work. They're happy to push their work. A couple of the ones we chatted to last week have new trades coming out in the new year. So it'll be good for people who are not too familiar with these creators to get to know the people behind the scenes. But it's a real pleasure talking to them because they just have so much love for the industry, and they're obviously talking to us who we've got a lot of love for the industry as well. So yeah, just keep an eye out for the podcast in the next couple of weeks. There will be tons of new stuff coming. But I'll jump on to a few different things then with announcements this week. So there was actually quite a bit. DC had a sort of online event and they started talking a lot about their plans post Future State. Now, as a retailer, I was very happy to see some of this stuff come up because a lot of DC titles were coming to an end in December or have come to an end. And I was really looking forward to seeing what was coming up after Future State. So they've started announcing creative teams for a lot of the series. And what's pretty cool about it is a lot of them are creative teams who are working on Future State are then taking over the ongoing. So it means that there's going to be that continuity between titles. So for example, DC announced that Detective Comics is going to be taken over by writer Mariko Tamaki, and very, very happily is going to be Dan Mora on art. So Dan Mora is one of my favorites. Dan Mora, of course, is on Once and Future. The two of them actually teamed up in Detective 1027. They did a storyline called The Gift, and then they're doing Dark Detective, which is one of the Future State series. So I do understand with Batman in March, they haven't officially announced this, but I think it has already been announced. But Tinian and Jorge Jimenez are going to continue as the creators on the main Bat title. So that's two very strong creative teams for the two flagship Batman titles. So a couple more that were released. You've got Stephanie Phillips, who is doing Future State Harley Quinn. She is taking over in the main Harley Quinn series, so she is. And it's going to be with Riley Rossmo, who did Martian Manhunter. Really great series. That'll suit Harley's sort of brand of madness, I think. So that's something to look forward to. And then Batman Superman. So Joshua Williamson is stepping away from Batman Superman. You've got Jean Lun Yang taking over for that. But very excitingly as well is Ivan Rice, who's one of the best Superman artists around, is taking over art duties there as well. So that's going to be coming back in March as well. You've got Wonder Woman, which it was announced that it's going to be a team of Becky Cloonan and Michael W. Conrad, they're going to co-write, and then you're going to have Travis Moore doing art for that. So again, new things to look forward to. You have a couple of new titles. So you've got new Teen Titans Academy, and you've also got, what's the other one here, is Green Lantern. So what you've got here, which is pretty cool, Green Lantern is going to be written by Jeffrey Thorne and drawn by Tom Rainey. So they're doing The Last Lanterns, which is the Future State series. And then you've also got Teen Titans, which is a creative team of Tim Sheridan and Rafa Sandoval. And again, they're doing Teen Titans Future State stuff. On top of that, a couple of really exciting things coming up. So Ram V, one of my favorite writers around the moment, he's going to be continuing with Justice League Dark. But he also announced a new ongoing Swamp Thing series. Yes, this can only be good news. Like Swampy keeps getting these short runs or one-shots or being in Justice League Dark or whatever. But Ram V must have wowed them with some pitch for that, because Swamp Thing ongoing is a great thing. And you also have a new Suicide Squad title starting. Now, obviously, I loved Suicide Squad by Tom Taylor. He had told his story. So now we're going to be moving on to a new Suicide Squad, and you've got Peacemaker as one of the main characters on the front, who's a character being played by John Cena in the new movie, if you can see him, of course. And it's going to be Robbie Thompson on writing duties, and art is going to be Eduardo Panseca. Interestingly enough for this as well, you've also got a Talon on the front as well, so they must be tying that into some Court of Owls stuff, which can only be a good thing as well. What else did we have announced the other day? So Marvel have pushed back a couple of titles. So they've pushed back Children of the Atom, which has been pushed back a couple of months, which is interesting. I mean, it's a title that has already been pushed back once before, but it was re-solicited to come in January, I believe, but now it's been put back to March. And as well as that, you've also got Non-Stop Spider-Man, which was postponed again. Non-Stop Spider-Man was originally supposed to come out, I think, June last year. That was quite a while ago, and then it got moved. It was going to be January 27th. Now it's going to be March 3rd. They've also brought on another artist, and this is where I start worrying, because I find a lot of titles suffer if you've got multiple artists on them, especially what looks like it's going to be a mini-series. They've already got Chris Bacallo on art, who's a great artist, but they've brought on Dale Eaglesham as well. Now, the last thing I remember him doing art for was Shazam, and brilliant artist, but you just worry sometimes if they're going to meld two different styles together. So just a couple of delayed things there just to keep an eye on. In terms of other bits and pieces of news, you've got, so I've started reading Invincible in the last week, so Keith has finally worn me down, and I've started reading that, so really enjoying it. 20 issues in thereabouts so far. But they already had a ridiculous voice cast lined up for the, it's Amazon Prime doing it, I believe, yeah. Amazon Prime's animated adaptation, but they've just added some more voice actors, and holy moly, they are really going all out in this. You've got the likes of Mahershala Ali is doing voice, you've got Clancy Brown, John Hamm, Ezra Miller. You know, there's a ton of great talent involved in this, and then you just throw in like half the Walking Dead cast, but you've also got already announced people like J.K. Simmons, you've got people like Mark Hamill, Seth Rogen, Walter Goggins, Zachary Quinto. Yeah, that's going to be 8 episodes for the first season, and it's definitely going to be one to keep an eye out for. I believe it is set to debut in 2021, it just says, but I'm not sure exact dates, but we'll keep an eye out for that anyway. And if you can, in the meantime, jump into Invincible. I had to read it because Keith was telling me about this big massive status quo shift that happens in the first 12 issues. I kind of wonder now, having read it, if they'll do that in the first episode or two, or if that'll be a end of season cliffhanger. It's pretty big stuff. What else was shown this week? So you had the announcement of Ava DuVernay, who is a filmmaker. She is currently doing New Gods, I believe. That's the one that Tom Keane is writing. She's also doing an adaptation of DMZ. She's now teaming up with the producer of Arrow, Jill Blankenship, and they're going to develop a TV show for the CW based on Naomi. Naomi was a title that came out during Brian Michael Bendis' Wonder Comics that he started doing with DC. It was him on writing duties, and David F. Walker was his artist. So the story follows a teenage girl's journey from her small northwestern town to the heights of the multiverse. When a supernatural event rattles her hometown, Naomi sets out to uncover its origins. What she discovers will challenge everything people believe about superheroes. So it was a 6-issue miniseries. It is now available in trade. We've got the trade-in store. I do know that number 1 is a bit of a pricey issue now, because as soon as TV news come along, first appearances go up. But that's some good talent involved with that. Just a couple of wee things just to finish off on them. I saw it was announced over the weekend that Oscar Isaac is attached to play Solid Snake in the long-awaited film adaptation of Metal Gear Solid. It's been the same director and writer on this for a long time, Jordan Vogt-Roberts, who worked on Kong Skull Island, and he's, I believe, directed and co-writing it with Derek Connolly. Avi Arad is producing, so very well known for doing the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. The one thing I will say is that, you know, Oscar Isaac has a lot of stuff lined up. You know, he's working on Moon Knight apparently. He's working on the film version of Ex Machina, which was based on Brian K. Vaughan's miniseries. He's got a lot of stuff to get through, and you know, Metal Gear Solid, people have been waiting on this for years. It's, you know, they've always been incredibly cinematic games anyway. But it'll be interesting to see what they adapt for this. Are they going to follow the model of the games and start with Metal Gear 1? Are they going to go with the prequel stuff that took place during, you know, Vietnam and so forth? We'll wait and see, but I'll look forward to it. Oscar Isaac's always good and everything, but as I say, he may keep himself fit because he's going to be moving from set to set quite a bit. As well as that, you had the announcement that David Ramsey, who played Diggle on Arrow, he's coming back to the sort of the Arrowverse, so to speak. He's coming back to direct a few episodes, but apparently he's also going to be in 5 episodes across the Arrowverse. So Batwoman, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Superman, Lois, and Supergirl. And there's a lot of rumors that he's going to be taking on the Green Lantern ring. If you may remember, if you watch Crisis on Infinite Earths, at the end there was that green glowing ring. So a lot of people are obviously assuming that that's going to be sort of like a Jon Stewart type situation. So something to keep an eye out for. And then one last thing just I thought was really interesting because it's an adaptation of one of my favourite graphic novels. So Haley Stenfield, who was in Transformers Bumblebee, was in Pitch Perfect, things like that. So she's been cast as Kate Bishop in Marvel Studios' Hawkeye. And it looks like it's going to adapt or at least closely mirror the Hawkeye series written by Matt Fraction and art by David Aja. You know, there was set photos shown with Jeremy Renner, of course, who's involved as, you know, Clint. But you also saw Pizza Dog. This gets me very excited. So it's always been rumored that Haley Stenfield was actually cast as this, but this is the first sort of concrete evidence of it as well. So I really am looking forward to this. I mean, you've got She-Hulk coming up as well. You've got Moon Knight has been announced. Obviously, in the next month or two, we'll have WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier. So there's tons and tons of good stuff to look forward to with Marvel TV shows and so forth. So yeah, here's hoping. But anyway, that's going to do it for this week. As I say, the rest of the week is going to be click and collect until Friday. But then we are open in a more sort of complete capacity. But again, guys, just if you can follow the rules, let's do our part, and you know, maximum amount of people in store, etc. Let's keep to that. So hopefully you guys are staying safe out there, and hopefully I'll see you in store over the next couple of weeks and be able to wish you a happy Christmas before we reach that point. So in the meantime, stay safe out there, guys. Take it easy.